I think we'll go ahead and get started, and people come in, they can pick up where we left off. So what we're going to do today is a little bit different. We usually go really deep into a feature when we do like a new feature webinar, but we've launched so many things since the shutdown occurred that we just want to kind of refresh your memory and also walk through a few things that have launched while you've been off of, actively using your system, so that if it pops up, you're not totally surprised. You can actually use some of the new features to make your life, we're hoping, a little bit easier. I've got my trusty sidekick on, Victoria, today. So
hello.
We're ready to rock and roll. So just in case you missed yesterday, we did a tremendous amount on the No Touch Toolkit, and the webinar is up. So just to give you a little bit of a briefing here, we went through new emails, we went through the new auto-added consents, we talked about a new COVID communication, we looked at really the end-to-end provider steps, some of the things of the virtual wallet, patient wallet, how to use some credit card on file activities instead of actually having them swipe. And then we talked briefly about some of the dictation tools and things that I'll go through in more detail today. So a lot happened yesterday. We don't want to beat a dead horse if you were on, so we won't make you go through it again, but you can certainly go online and get all that done on yesterday's webinar. So we're going to start with the settings tab. We're going to just march down our tabs across the top. And then at the very end, we'll go to the iPad and show you a few things on the provider flow that have been slightly tweaked since we started. And warning, I'm really thirsty today, so I can't help myself. All righty, I'm gonna go.
You hydrate.
Rehydrate, I need to. So a couple of quick things. I'll kind of cover these and then we'll go into the actual system. So on the account settings changes in the teammate section, if you're going to be using the electronic prescriptions, you have some changes to make. If you're going to be using the time card, you have some changes to make. And then also if you're going to be using text check-ins for patients, which might be more important now than ever as they're texting to come into the offices and such. This is not a new feature, but to make sure you have your provider information accurate. So we're going to cover that for sure. And then I'm also going to go through a couple of just quick things on looking at the health timeline questionnaire that we removed the templates we used to have, and they're now all questions in an actual questionnaire. A little bit of reorganization on our documentation, and then for our integrations and time clock, how to access each one of those features if you want to set those up. So I'm going to flip over to my screen, but that's kind of going to be our guide here for this first set of things we're going to look at. So I'm going to log in. Victoria, can you see me? Am I good?
I am still on the PowerPoint. Now we're in AR. We're good.
Okay, good. I may have a lag on the Wi-Fi today. We don't know.
Our usual Zoom.
I mentioned the teammate section. So if you are in your AR portal, go to your little settings widget or your little tool at the top, and then come over to the teammate section. So you guys have begged for prescription options for a long time, so you now have at least a decent fix. You'll have a better one very soon, but under your user profile, you're going to want to fill this out in order to make it a seamless transition for your pharmacist. So I'm going to use Margot, who you guys know as my pseudonym. We're going to write a book together one day, she and I. And so make sure in her profile, a couple things. You have here your degree designation and your hourly rate. The hourly rate will dictate her time card. So if you're paying her hourly rate each week, this number right here will help you to do a gross payroll report. So if you're using a time card at all, make sure this is filled out. It's also helpful for you to get a snapshot. And then as far as the degree designation, it's just helpful for us as we categorize people in the system and user roles and things on the back end. So her contact number, make sure this is correct, because that's the text number, I'm guessing, for the iWatch, right, Victoria? That's what we're going to be texting to say your patient's checked in? Perfect.
Yes, that's correct.
And then this came up this morning, so just real quick. The MD in our system is not for medical doctor, it's medical director. So whatever your your person's role is here, they can be a medical director if they're an NP or PA, whatever that is in your clinic. So in many states, MPs can practice alone. Make their role a medical director. They don't need a consent from the medical director to be signed if they are the medical director. So just think about some of these things here, working as a provider as well as also being a medical director and toggling on either using an MD sign off or not. So that was the thing this morning that came up, just to refresh your memory. But what I need you to make sure you do if you're prescribing is at the very bottom, include your state license, DEA, and MPI numbers. This will auto-populate on the form for your prescriptions. Make sure you have that done, and also make sure that you have your signature all done too. So you're going to want that, and that's going to be in your individual account settings. I believe if I go right here to your profile, make sure you have a signature on file because that goes on your pharmacy form. Makes sense? Anybody out there on your teammate section? Get that done? Okay, well, I'll move right along then. The next stop on our train here is clinical documentation. So now things have rearranged here. If you're a big health timeline user before and you've not been in the system, this may look different for you. So under patient paperwork, we've now organized across the top the 4 different types of paperwork. You're going to have a new feature coming very soon where you can organize all the patient's paperwork from the whole history of their involvement in your practice called the document repository. And this is the precursor to that. So we kind of rearranged some things. So in your cosmetic questionnaires, you see those here. You now have what's called a health timeline questionnaire that includes both questionnaires for the patient and questionnaires for the provider. These are your old health templates that you used to have. So I recommend like a naming nomenclature. So for instance, I might change this vitamin injection instead to provider vitamin injection so that I'm not confused when I go to attach questionnaires to my services. I don't attach a provider focused template to a patient portal questionnaire. So you may want to go through and just change your nomenclature from just a typical vitamin injection to now patient or provider. Because for us, the logic is the same. So put them all together here where you'd have them all under one big health questionnaire column, if you will. So I'm going to save that. Maybe not. Hold on. Well, what am I doing wrong here, Victoria?
I don't know. We can hit our X though.
Yeah. I'm just going to see if I did something wrong. Not surprising people at all. Not surprising. You then have your consents up across the top and your membership agreement. So if you're doing multiple membership types, like as you see here, monthly and annual, you can tie those different policy types to your membership in the actual membership, like multiple membership adding screen. So you can have as many as you want. If you have an IV one and a massage one and an aesthetics one, you can put them all in here together and then just tie those in directly. So this is a little bit different than it used to be even 6 weeks ago. And then lastly, I'll talk about, oh, go ahead, Victoria. Were you going to say something?
You saw me, yeah. I was just going to say really quick for those membership agreements. So this is a great feature, especially if you're processing payments with AR. So let's say that you have a membership dispute. Definitely take advantage of this because that's an additional way that, you know, the system will have your back. You can actually prove that the patient, you know, accepted your terms and conditions. And if you did have a dispute, you can supply that information. So just keep that in mind.
Yep, you have now a signature line on there as well. So the signature for the membership, both from the patient portal or the system is stored in the patient's membership button on their profile. And then we have also down here integration. So many of you have taken advantage of this, which is fantastic. We have TouchMD, Zoho, HubSpot, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, and Constant Contact. So if you want to connect any of these to your system, you just click on whichever one you want to choose. And if you want to hit the sync button, it will prompt you to authorize. So you can choose to do all patients are newly created. When you click the authorize button, you'll get the like an iframe screen to log into your actual account. Once you've logged in, that connection is synced. And again, you can choose to either sync up just your new patients or all created, or I'm sorry, all patients are newly created in the system. When you have this integration done, this will allow you to share your business insights reports out as mail lists or patient lists to your CRM system for drip campaigns, etc. And they'll be organized by the report, but you have to have this done. So the accelerator plan is the only plan that has this on it. But if you need us to help you with any of this integration, let us know. The most robust right now is Zoho. We do some different things there, but for the time being, you can do all your contacts syncing over and your reports can be synced over, but more to come on that. And then lastly, under the settings tab would be your time clock. Again, accelerator people only would have this. So under your time clock, you have the settings tab here. You have to actually go in and enable your time clock and set up some new functions here about when they're clocked in, for how long, if they're gonna clock out automatically, pay period type. We're getting a lot of asks about a bi-weekly pay schedule. Right now it is weekly, which I know many of you pay bi-weekly. So in the time being as a workaround or short-term fix, you can download that report and just tag your Excel columns together and add them. But you can get a weekly report each week. And then once you're in that and you've enabled it in your actual time clock button here, you can go through and see who's clocked in, clocked out, etc. And then we'll go into Business Insights in just a little bit and I'll show you where to find the report in Business Insights. I think that's all I have on settings. So I'm going to flip back over and see what's next.
I think we've got some stuff about appointments now.
I think so. If I can just find my screen, I'll be good to go. Okay, new calendar.
Woo. All right. So for those who are, just getting back in the swing of things, or if you've noticed that the calendar is brand new. So the longest time, we have been working on creating the click and book from the calendar. So we're so excited to be able to release that to everyone. And then another big thing is, the provider and clinic view. So if you are booking appointments for the practice, you'll notice now on the new calendar that you can see a list or a view of every single provider, the hours they're working. And then the other really amazing feature that we've come out with is the out of office events. So let's say that you're doing, an internal training, you can actually mark that out on one provider's calendar or, everybody's calendar. So I'm going to actually take everyone to that right now.
You want me to walk through the next couple things that you can go when you're in there all together?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Let's do that. Yeah, so one other thing too, so we'll talk about this now and then I'll show everyone how it all connects. So a few things, we have released virtual appointments, which we've talked about quite a bit on all of our webinars. And then you can also now send consents and questionnaires to the patient portal for in-person appointments. So before it was just for virtual in regards to consents. Now those consents can go to the portal for in-person appointments. So be sure to take advantage of that, especially, as we're doing our no-touch toolkit with AR. It's definitely something to incorporate in your practice so that your patient never actually has to touch your device. So, all righty. Any other appointments slides, Tiffany?
Well, we can talk briefly about the email if you wanted to, just as you're in there.
Yep, we'll do that too. So yesterday we released new email templates. So Tiphany did an amazing job designing these templates. They look beautiful. We have a text editor now, so if you'd like to bold things, I know, right? At 3:30 in the morning when you work. So the other thing is we have also released more COVID information. So when we think about certain messages that need to go to the patients in regards to COVID, whether it's consents, questionnaires, as well as, patient portal documentation, we are going to take you through all of that right now. So I am flipping over to aesthetic record. Maybe.
We've had a pretty good run. We've only had one day of terrible technology when Dr. Harper was on. Beyond that, we've been pretty successful. So we're going to pray it keeps going today.
That's too funny. All right, you can see my web account, right?
We sure can.
Okay. So I guess we've got some appointments booked today. So one of the biggest changes to the calendar, you will notice over here to the right, you can swap between provider view and clinic view. So if you would like to see all of your providers laid out on one page, clinic view is where you'll want to go for that. You'll notice here that the gray on the calendar will list the hours that provider is working. So you'll notice here, Kelsey, she's on from 9 to 9. And then if there's white space, that just means that provider is not on the schedule for today. So let me, one other quick thing. So as far as booking, all you have to do, booking is so much easier now. So all you have to do is just click on the provider's name from your clinic view. And this will actually pre-fill some information for us, well, in a minute. So what I'm going to do now is we'll click on her calendar. So by clicking on her name, it actually pre-filled the clinic we were at and her name. So it's saving you guys time when you are booking those appointments. And then similar to how it was before, you're still selecting that service. You can choose from all of your time selections here. And then you'll be able to enter and go ahead.
It auto defaulted to 4 o'clock. That's a big thing. When you clicked on the 4, it auto defaulted to 4, which is a massive, you don't know the technology back into that. It's a big deal for us.
It is. I love it. I love it. All right. So it will auto default. And then you do have the option if you're like, oh, I don't want to book it at 4, you can choose a different time. One other quick thing. I know a lot of practices are now implementing cancellation policies, or they want to accept some sort of, credit card information at the time of booking. There is this feature down below. As long as you do have the cancellation policy on in your account, you can click enter credit card details. And that will then allow that appointment to be enrolled in the cancellation policy at that time. So you might not want to use it now just due to all the COVID stuff, but we definitely recommend at some point, incorporating that to your practice. All right. So
Then
you
Victoria, can
will,
I ask you a quick
yeah,
question? Because I don't think I know the answer. When
yeah,
you're in development, if I want to add another service, is it easier now to add multiple things together?
it is. It is, it is. So you'll notice right here, if we click add another service, we can click it and we add it. So easy.
So those of you who wanted that, you can just keep adding and adding so that it blocks a bigger time on the customers, or I'm sorry, the patient provider,
The
whoever, the
patients.
provider schedule.
Hmm.
So that's a big deal.
Yep.
Just want you guys to know that that is now an option.
Hmm. And then actually while I'm on the screen, so we'll go over this now too. So when we think about out of office events, or if you have internal training, anything of that sort, you will notice right up here that we now have out of office. So you just select it, you choose your day, your time, you can name the event. So it could be a lunch break. And so many of you who have used AR for a while, you'll know that that is an amazing deal as well, very big deal. Before it was much more difficult, but now it's much more streamlined and easy to book. The other thing is you can select multiple providers. So let's say that you have an internal training at 9 a.m. All you have to do is go through and add those providers that are relevant to that event. And then that will then block out all of their schedules for that time. In the event that you wanted to cancel appointments, you can also do that too. And then if we think about holidays or anything of that sort, you can set those to repeat, every week or annually.
So we had a quick question from Melissa about booking on the app or the web. So currently this entire interface is on the web, on the control center, because you have the ability to do more things like out of office, etc. Currently on the app, it still looks like it did before we started.
Before.
We are making some UI and changes there, so it will feel a lot more like this than it does on the app right now. But if your front desk person's working from their iPad, so if you guys are using the old trusty iPad, if they have a browser button open, so we hear a lot about, I don't want to toggle. If you're on an iPad, just open up a Google Chrome option and you can just click it and you can do all things on the iPad you can on the desktop. It's just a matter of either clicking AR app or browser. So it'll all happen there for you if you'd like. But it will be coming soon in some format to the actual provider app. Hopefully that answers it.
Awesome. All right, so one other quick thing as we're moving along, we did move this little settings widget right over here. So you'll notice to get to smart configuration, and smart configuration is where you manage everything settings related. So if we click into smart configuration, you will now notice that all of your items right up here are going to be listed on the top. And then one other quick thing that I just wanted to reiterate, we talked about it yesterday, but when we think about sending forms to the patient portal, just make sure that when you create that service and you go to clinical resources, that any consents and questionnaires that you would like to go to the patient portal, as well as treatment instructions, make sure that's tied to the service before you actually book it. And then once you do that, all that information sends directly to the portal.
And then Victoria, we click over to health timeline to show that it's the same setup there.
Yep. So same setup. So when Tiphany took us through a few things in the beginning, she talked about health timeline questionnaires. So in the event that maybe you have like an IV questionnaire or something of that sort, you can then choose from your health timeline questionnaires at this point.
And so again, those don't have to be sent to, these are the ones you want to send to the patient, not the ones the provider wants to document. So make sure that's why I said if you'll name them something different, when that list populates, you can just go patient, 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 and save your providers and add those in as actual real life questionnaires in the moment on the charting side. And then can you also take us through the just clicking virtual versus in person on the services too?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so when you go to create a brand new service, you will notice right up here, we can select the type. So if you'd like to do in person or virtual, the selections are just going to be a little bit different. For virtual, you'll have everything on this first screen here. And then keep in mind if your follow-ups or consultations that are virtual, if you do require, maybe it's a $50 fee, you can add that in and then add those funds to the patient wallet, maybe for a future visit. For in-person though, biggest difference, you'll notice that the tabs right up here at the top, we've got 3 little tabs instead of virtual, we just had the first section there. So those are kind of the biggest differences. Anything else you can think of?
I got one quick thing for you. Can you show us on the communicate? Well, you're going to go to emails anyway, so I'll hold it to go to emails.
That's okay. All right. So speaking of emails, we're going to head right over there. So you'll notice right up here, communications. When we think about any of the emails and text messages that go out to our patients, this is where you get to build all of that. So we have a template that's pre-built in the system. So if you click use template, that will then insert the template that Aesthetic Record has created. So feel free to use that. I think that it has a lot of really helpful information on it. And then one other thing, so you will notice your emails are listed here, text messages are listed here. So if you needed to edit your text, you'll just click into that section.
That's what I want to show. So in the text messages,
the
text question come through.
Yeah.
If you want to include the patient portal link to complete questionnaires, you have snippets on the right hand. As long as you render things as a snippet in that text, it will pull through. So right there where she's highlighting that. So for the person who just asked that, just embed that, like click here to complete documentation, embed that snippet with just like it looks there identically, and the patient can click on that and go to the patient portal. And then once inside the patient portal, they just click on that particular activity to complete, and they'll be inside the questionnaire or be inside the consent. But just put that little snippet in there.
Yep. And so, and just for anyone that's new, or if you're just now setting this up for the first time, can you still hear me?
Yeah, that was my fault. I tried to mute me and I muted you.
My computer goes, you are muted. I was like, oh,
sorry team.
That's okay. So one other quick thing here, just make sure that you're highlighting, bracket to bracket. You can then copy it. Once you copy it, then you can paste it into this section and it'll auto insert that URL for you. So
I recommend looking at all those communications and making sure they look really nice. The patient portal email that invites them in is not updated yet. It will be. It's a very similar look and feel to these with the nice call to action buttons, the headings and such, but these are all able to be, you can tweak them however you'd like to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the new thing, so since yesterday, you'll now notice that this editor is here, so you can get, creative when you're building any of your communications. And then COVID.
I think you could actually embed a video. If you have here's our new procedures, little snippet video, you can embed a hyperlink.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah. So do you see it? Not on my screen, but I think it'd be a great choice. Here's how you're going to walk into our practice. Go to our hand washing station, put it in Vimeo, click it, link it, good to go.
All right, so let's see here, COVID communication. So we've also pushed this COVID communication section out to all of our AR clients. Basically, you'll notice here that you can edit any of the information. Once again, you have that use template option. And then down below, you can choose when you would like to send this communication out to the patient. So for any of your normal booking confirmations, those are going to be sent at the time of booking automatically. And then obviously your reminders, you can customize when those are sent. So similar to that, you can also customize when you would like the COVID communication sent out to your patient. So definitely take some time to get this set up and, make sure everything says everything that you want it to. And
you could send it multiple times. So if you're at the bottom, you could send it like 3 days before and 1 day before. You could keep adding them to it. Not that you'd want to, but if people are not compliant, you might have to.
Yep, there we go. All right, so I think that's everything for appointments. Did I miss anything?
Nope. And Terry, to your question about the font that's used, it is Lato, L-A-T-O. That's what this font is that you see here. That's the Google font. All righty. So I'm going to then flip back over and keep on trucking along here. All righty. So patients tab, a few new things here, nothing major, but just, we talked a little bit about the electronic prescriptions earlier and also about virtual checkout yesterday. And then again, we also mentioned memberships. Just to see how that looks, I'm going to hop in the patient tab and show you. So let me just flip on over here. Hope you guys don't get woozy with us going back and forth. We're trying to figure out how to share our screens where you can see at the same time, but we're not so successful yet. Maybe someone's going to chat in with how to do it. Okay, so under your patients tab, I'm going to use my good friend Anastasia Parker. So when you're inside your patient portal, what's new here, would be let me move this out of the way, would be our insurance information. So you don't see it, I don't even think here, but if you go to your edit button, so we're gonna go and edit. Once I'm inside of her portal, I can go through and mix and fix all of this, which I recommend because again, it pulls the patient information and the electronic prescription form over from here. It'll also be connecting longer term, more things to this. Her email address is what connects the Galderma Aspire Rewards connection. So her email address is different here than she's using at Aspire. It will not find her and match her. So please make sure if you know the patient's like, I have Aspire, but it's not working. Edit her email address in here and it will now connect that instantly whenever she does her check-in. So I want to make sure she's a girl. That might be important. She's female. So we can go through here and put these things in if you obviously get that done. But then down here at the bottom, the insurance provider. So if you are going to do e-prescribe, I'd put this in for the patient to try to help them get their prescriptions paid for and done before they come to the pharmacy. Put all that in here. They have a prescription card, all that's available too. But please note here on the Aspire Rewards information, this is just a helpful component, as is BD. This is not what connects it. This is so if you're an office and you're trying to help patients manage their account information so they don't forget it, you're putting it here as like a password keeper. It's not the actual execution of the integration. That's based on the patient's email address for their overall account that connects to their patient profile, to their chart, to their products used, etc. This is just like a password keeper that you're seeing here. So that I think has been confusing for a few folks. So just on that. And then on the other thing I wanted to show you under the patients tab is if we are, well, could have stayed in there, sorry, hit the wrong button. If we're in Anastasia's account, just like Victoria mentioned about saving the credit card earlier, putting it on file for the cancellation fees, I can also do that here, just update the credit card. So if I want to keep this on file for her to do long-term virtual payments with hands-free, I can just add the credit card in here and then it saves it to her profile, which I already have one in there. And then lastly, if you're under your membership plan, Victoria mentioned that if you have a credit card dispute, you often need a contract with a signature on it, where before we just had, yep, she's enrolled today, we couldn't really defend that in the dispute section, or even if a patient had a concern. So if I were to have a membership for her in here and I wanted to add it, once I go through adding it, I do all my stuff I have to do. I have to now sign it. You see here at the bottom. This is going to occur both in the patient's portal and here. So whether they're paying on the app, patient portal, or control center, once I sign this and save it, you always have the ability in my membership card that you can pull up here to click download, and it will download this consent form for her to actually buy it with her signature on it. So it's just a nice way to keep all that for bookkeeping, and also in case you ever have any issues and you need to, say, yep, you did buy this. I know you did it. And then I'm going to flip, I think my next thing here, I think I'm on the next, oh no, it's inventory, all you. I can't wait to talk about inventory. So I'm going to get you ready for that because
yeah, I was gonna say do you want me to just go straight to our inventory tab and I can I'll run through all of it, all the new features.
We sure can, but those of you, we'll just circle the wagons.
Yeah, we'll pause here. Yep.
Just real quick, there's a full 55-minute webinar on YouTube that goes through all the new inventory pieces. So we're not going to bore you with all the different parts and components, more of like an overview, but you have I keep saying that. At 18 minutes, it talks about POs, but you have a whole hour that you can look at around inventory. So I'm going to let you then flip over to your inventory tab. That's way more fun.
Alrighty. Can you see my screen? Yes? Tiffany?
We sure can, yeah.
Okay. You were shaking your head, but it was delayed on my end. Anyway, so inventory, we've added so many new features to the inventory section. There are so many things that can really keep all of your clinic operations in one place, and you have the ability to even pull out of reports in regards to that. So a few things here, you can still add your products just like normal. We've added in inventory variation. So this is something that's fairly new to the system, and we'll have a little bit more of a webinar coming out to talk about this in detail. But if you think about any recipes that you potentially have, so when we think about, a vampire facial or microneedling with PRP, or even a liquid facelift, those would all be considered recipes. And so you can actually come into your inventory variations section and you can then create those. So this, what it will do is it will allow you to chart that information, and then you can take a payment directly from your procedure as well. So when we think about combination procedures, or if we think about, you know, maybe pricing for a medical or, you know, a doctor to do Botox is $16, and then maybe for a nurse practitioner, it's $14. You can set up all those variations from this section. So definitely recommend checking that out. And like I said, we'll have more learning materials surrounded with that, you know, coming soon. And then what
Can I
Tiphany
say
had,
one thing real quick on that?
yeah, you jump in.
I had to help an account this week with this whole inventory variation. Think about this like Amazon. You know, you have your base product, and then if you get it in a bigger size, a smaller size, different shipping, the product itself is still the same, but you have ability to vary it because of different functions or features. So if you think about your inventory today, if it's not a physical SKU you can hold in your hand, it's not really inventory. An add-on Restylane Silk is not inventory. Restylane Silk is inventory. A variation of that would be a discounted price to add it on. So think about your inventory, where it says your inventory. Those are physical things that you could actually hold in your hand, like Botox, Jeuveau, Restylane, Sculptra. But if I want to do Sculptra butt, I might have Sculptra butt as a variation that's pulling from the bucket of Sculptra. I may have Restylane Lift Tear Trough, not Lift, Restylane Silk Tear Trough or Restylane L Tear Trough at $1,200 a person, but Restylane L typically is $599. That's a variation. The product itself is still Restylane L. So think about these like you would shop on Amazon. An inventory variation, currently a standard package, is a different size, shape, color, whatever, but the product itself, the core, is still the same. So hopefully that helps understand like the pricing variance. And then of course recipes, I think about Vampire Facelift to me is the easiest one. Product Restylane, product A, and then PRP, product B, they're a combination that you always offer. So they're always a recipe together. So I'll quit preaching, but if inventory, if you can crush one thing in your system, crush the game on inventory, because that's where your money is made, your efficiencies are found, and you can run a successful business. So inventory is the place to dwell. Chart correctly, traceability should be done correctly, focus on this, and so many other pieces will fit into place, and you'll be far more efficient and seamless. But again, here I am preaching. Make me stop.
I love it. I love it. And I was going to say one other quick thing. So if you are using point of sale with aesthetic record, just don't get the inventory variations confused with your promotional packages. So those are meant to be for things, if you think about discounts, promotional packages, that's where that goes. Whereas this, Tiphany explained it all. So, but you preached it all. So a few quick things. I'm not going to go too far into detail here, but you'll notice that you can do all of your inventory reconciliation. So this is extremely important that I would even get your staff doing this daily. Like if you have someone on the team who manages your inventory and who's doing counts every night before you close, have them just fill out this inventory reconciliation report. And if you're a business owner or practice manager, you have visibility to everything. So if something's damaged, if you sample something out, you'll have a nice little report that will spit out after this that, you know, lists everything accordingly. So quick example here. If we solve, you'll notice you have a drop-down menu. You just enter in what the reason was. And then your staff can then type in any additional notes. So, you know, oh, we dropped a vial of Botox on the floor, whatever. Once you update all of that, you have two options. You can save it as a draft. So if you plan to come back in later and edit more things, save it as a draft. If you are done for the day, go ahead and save and update inventory. So you would typically do that, you know, right before you close.
So one good connection here, if you're using WooCommerce or Shopify to sell a skincare, like a whole skincare shop, because we don't have a connection with those in the moment, you can use this as well to solve for that. So let's say, Victoria, is there any product down here that is like a physical product? That is,
we could do like the Allcom.
Yeah. So if you're in this one, you go to solve it. What you could do, let's say we have 30 in stock, and today we sold 10 in our Shopify store. I can go to others. I could change my deviation to -10, and then under here, again, pick a nomenclature, Shopify 5, whatever date it is, 5/8. So when I go to pull that report at the end of the month and I do reconciliation, like I can look at all my reports, I have Shopify, 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 and I can see all the Shopify sales coming in or WooCommerce and where they deducted from my inventory, so that I have a constant running correct inventory on my shelf. and I'm deleting out the Shopify products as we're sending them out. So it's one way to manage online store if you have that and you want to be able to pay for all that in the online store, but be able to keep count of it all with your actual master inventory. So just think about deviation, find a common nomenclature that's always Shopify 4.5, Shopify 4.6, whatever it is. So just a cheat method if you need that.
That's awesome. All right, so a few quick things. Now, if you do run multiple locations, stock transfers would be important for you. If you think about times where, you've had to ship products back and forth, or maybe you have someone on the team running something to another location, this will give you the ability to then automatically insert the amount of inventory you received from the other location into your physical location. So just to give you a quick little idea of what that looks like, you'll notice that it came from Lovely Lines. We sent it over to Beautiful Aesthetics. Jane Doe was the courier at that time, and then it tells us obviously the time and date that we sent it, and then the time and date that we actually physically got it in our hands. So great way, our responsible staff is down here. But great way to manage inventory as you're going through different locations. All right, so the other quick thing here, when we talk about suppliers and purchase orders, so your suppliers tab is very straightforward. Any vendor you can think of that you get supplies from, go ahead and add their information into this section. Once you add that information,
Can we add something real quick to that? Can you go back to suppliers?
Maybe if my screen will load. Yep, there we go.
If you are a multi-location clinic, make sure when you add in, like for instance in Galderma or Evolus, whomever, you're going to have in your PO a master account. So let's say for us, Lovely Lines is our master account with Galderma. Our credit is tied to Lovely Lines. But my ship tos are Beautiful Aesthetics, Lovely Lines, Clinic A, Clinic B, excuse me. I want to be able to make sure that when I send my PO to my rep, Victoria, that she knows on the phone with McKesson, when she sends in this email of my PO, that McKesson can say, yep, this is Lovely Lines credit going to Beautiful Aesthetics. So make sure you enter in your individual ship tos, because when the inventory comes in and you go and receive it, it'll automatically add the inventory to the ship tos inventory. If you come all to one location as a warehouse and then you ship it out, you stock transfer. If you send to individual accounts from the manufacturer, use the sold to ship to variation. So two very different inventory management systems there, but just make sure you put those in.
Great point.
I was a rep for a hot minute, so I know how hard that can be for some clinics to get that nailed down.
All right, so purchase orders. So we'll take a look at that real quick. So once again, in this section, you can create those different purchase orders. You just choose your supplier information, the clinic, any notes that are relevant. And then this section down here will actually allow you to enter in the product that you would like to place an order for. So the really fun thing about this is I'm just putting arbitrary information in right now. So let's save that.
$6 for 100 bottles of.
I know, right?
This for man, I'm ready.
COVID discounts.
Clearly.
So if we go to, you'll notice here, so we created the PO, not received, but if we go to view details, the really, really cool thing about this is that you can actually receive the order. Well, let me take a step back real quick. So downloading your PDF. So you create your PO, you download your PDF, and you can actually email that to your rep. Your rep gets the order, it's fulfilled. Now, once that order actually arrives at your physical location, you can click on receive. And this will allow you, if something was damaged, you can mark, the quantity that was damaged. And then you put your invoice number in, your lot number, the quantity you received, and the expiration. So we really, really, really suggest that you use this because it will save you time when we think about adding in stock. So this automatically adds all the stock to your product. So highly recommend using it because it will save you time as far as adding in, any of that info.
And the other part, when you receive it, I think part of the issue too, if I'm ordering it at a certain cost when I receive it, if I have a promotion or a discount, putting in the cost each time allows us to associate the actual cost. I think it's just on the other, when you're keying in the cost before, if you're getting a promotional component of some sort, like you're doing a buy 10, get 2 for free, and you want to net down the overall cost per unit or whatever else that is, As you do that, it'll help you with those particular pieces, like those 15 SKUs will be in the system as a cheaper cost to company than your other SKUs. So you get a really accurate reporting of what things cost. So I recommend if you're getting discounted volumes to change the cost to company in this part of it, different than the overall cost to company. It's your actual everyday cost to company. So you can vary it there.
Perfect.
And then do you want to show real quick, or we can just talk about now with each product as well, you have the option to do reordering information, like automatic reordering. What that is, it's not actually automatic reordering because of course many companies don't allow us to do that, but it will trigger the creation of your PO. So Victoria will show us how to do it.
Yeah, so if we go back to our inventory section, we click on a product. If we go to supplier info, you will notice that you can set that reordering section on. What this will do, this will automatically create that purchase order for you. So then all you would really have to do is go into your PO section, download it, send it to your rep, and then you're done.
Yep. So we hit number 49 on our units, to what she just had there, which is our threshold 50. It would kick over the ordering increment, whatever we chose for our PO. So I think that's a really nice way just to keep a running total of what's happening. So
lots of fun automations.
Manage your reps as they manage you. That's what I like to say. Okay. So we got two more pieces to cover here. One being Business Insights tab, and then we'll flip over to the iPad in just a second. We did reorganize Business Insights to make it easier to look at all the reports that you have. We've added in a time card report, and then I'm going to show you two reports that are going to be launching next week that are around existing versus new patients and also your MRR by month. So I'm going to flip over real quick to our Business Insights tab. We have so many reports there that we had to make it a little bit easier and organized for you because it was just getting overwhelming. So if I'm in the BI tab, you see now a really nice like little plus button here that you can use. So that's in your sales because there's a lot of them. So many of those are here. And then I'm going to show you currently in your, let's see, there we go. I've got all kinds of stuff on my screen right now. You have a time clock report that's here that you can go week to week. So I mentioned before, if you're doing biweekly pay, you can pull the report for each week individually using Excel and just add them together since I don't have a biweekly option, hopefully coming very soon. So that's in here for you. And then under your sales tab, you're going to have some new membership reports that are going to, not new, just a variation, and also a new patient report. So I'm going to show you what those look like right now. This is again coming on Monday, probably overnight tonight. So if I'm in my MRR report, which is your monthly membership recurring revenue, historically, you could only see it for the right now time period from right now to forever ago. So like it was a full historical perspective. Now, as of Monday, you'll be able to look at the date that you want to look at. So let's say right now I'm only through May 8th, but I want to look at all of, let's say April. And I want to look just by my Injectables Club membership only. So now you're able to look at this report by month and by particular membership type for your monthly recurring revenue, not total, just for that 1 month snapshot. So that's in there. And then the other one that's coming next week early will be your existing versus new patients. This has been a hot button. So under your new patients this month, you can pick your month. Let's say we're going to go January and get an actual list of all the new patients who came in January. The exact same mechanism works for existing patients. You can now go month to month, and then you can hit share, which we love, to our integration partners. I can just share this right off to Zoho, Constant Contact, or whomever for a custom email list to just send them a, hey, we're glad you're here. This is, we loved having you kind of email communication. So that's what's happening in Business Insights. And we'll be adding more and more information into this with new reports as we get a bit further down the path on some new things that are happening for you very soon. All right, so let's see what we got next here on our list of fun things to cover. Okay, health timeline. We're in the home stretch, guys, home stretch. I did a little video for you because it might be easier than seeing it. I'm going to actually fix my share so you can hear it. So we had some fun health timeline updates over the course of the last few weeks. And one of those being our, obviously, prescriptions. We've also changed our dot phrase editor to be a big screen, more of like a medical chart. When you see it in a minute, you'll know what I'm talking about. We've added in dictation, a new medical history call. So we can call the patient's medical history into their chart with one little button. And then also we mentioned already the changes to the procedure templates that we made now all questionnaires and how to pull those through. So because I can't do dictation on my microphone and you hear me, I made you a fun video. So hopefully you can hear this. If not, I'll tell you what it's saying over the top. But once you're inside your health timeline, you just click the button Start Dictation, and here's what you get. This is an example of how you dictate. Just click the button and the words will automatically appear. It may take a second as it understands your voice to fix the words that you're saying. Just let it keep running. It'll correct its own mistakes. Then once you stop dictation, you can go back and edit the text if it did not render correctly. So you can just keep talking forever and it'll keep catching up. So as you stop, it'll keep going. And even if you hit the stop button, it'll keep building out what it's already heard. So the reason it's important to use it from here is there's a new medical charting tool that will use this dictation to create for you like a diagnosis tree or code or branches of things. It'll take your dictation here and it will put this into different buckets and things to say a possible diagnosis code, a possible prescription for this. Like it'll be like a medical AI tool, but it only works if you go through dictation. So that will launch in probably a couple weeks. So you'll see it there, but it's also nice to have. You can just be dictating as you go. And then I also mentioned a few things on the call buttons and other stuff that I'll want to show you live. We've got some chats coming in. Victoria, what's going on out there in the chat land?
Do we?
I think so.
I'm not seeing any updated ones on
okay, you might be doing them. That's why they don't show for you.
Oh.
All righty. So if I'm in my health timeline, I'm going to go to patients. We'll use our good friend Anastasia again. So under Anastasia's profile, I have mine defaulted to health timeline. You may have yours to cosmetic timeline. Under create procedure, you see here that button I just showed you. One important thing to note for your consents and questionnaires to match is you have to connect it to the right appointment. So when we send those consents and questionnaires out, they're tied to an appointment of some sort in the system. That's your like magic bridge. So if I don't choose the right appointment here, my little magic bridge won't work. So I can't connect those two things. So once I'm inside of here, if I want to do all my dictation and all that stuff, I can. But I can also do what we call a call function, which is down here at the bottom, a little cheat sheet. If you go to @call, you see here all of my things that I have for my medical history are available. I could just pop them in here. I've had a C-section. I have an allergy to grass or something. I don't know what I put in here. To grass and pollen, which could be deadly during the COVID. I don't know. So I can call all my allergies and things if I have any, like, I don't know, if I have drug allergies and such. So it allows you to not have to go check every time. You can just hit call and see what all's in there. And then we also have obviously our dot phrases. So if I did like a COVID pre-screen, dot negative pre-screen, these all populate here as well. Again, in a much bigger text field to see. And I can just change my temperature. I was at 98.5, so I'm good to go. And then you see at the bottom here, my consents. These are all tied to my appointment as we talked about before. And then I also have questionnaire. So I have none right now because I sent nothing over to Anastasia, but I could do my provider note and I can go to save and fill questionnaire. Once I hit that, I get my traditional historical health template that we used to have in the old timeline. And I can actually go through and fill this out like I used to do before. So that's all done through your health timeline, just like before, except for now that provider template is just considered to be like a questionnaire. And then if I were doing a virtual connection with somebody, I'd also have in here under view notes, I'd have a full transcription of our entire virtual meeting saved in here as a prescription note or as a procedure note saying like Victoria, the things she said, Tiffany, the things I said, all done here together. So you have an additional note function here if you have a virtual consultation. So a lot on the health timeline. We're adding as quickly as we can these features into the iPad app. But if you're doing a full medical chart, you may want to do it on the control center and dictate it anyway versus doing it on your little iPad screen. So that is your health timeline updates. So let's see here. What more do we have to do before we go to our lovely iPad? Let's see. Give me half a second. I'm going to let you share, Victoria. Or I'm going to share real quick what we're going to cover.
Yep.
Because we have a couple things there to show. So let me get past this screen. Okay. Now we're going to go to the provider app.
All right. So everything, can you hear me okay?
Sure can.
Okay. It sounded wacky on my end for a minute, but we're all good. So patient workflow through the app. So a few new things that we're going to go over is how to become a member with Aspire Rewards through the Aesthetic Record app. We've also made it a little bit easier to just go straight into your patient's profile. So from the checkout or check-in screen on the app, you can click, view their profile, and it'll take you straight there. I'll also take you through a few things as far as saving your questionnaires as favorites. And then you can also sign multiple consents. So you'll have the ability to just click through, sign multiple consents, and then we'll go through our streamlined process of taking photos. We'll show you some Aspire rewards, and then I'll also show you how to join a meeting directly. Oh, we just had someone say sound. Terry, are you unable to hear us?
I can hear us.
You can hear me? Okay. All right, so let me get the iPad pulled up.
If you can hear us, will you raise your hand so we know that you can hear us? Anybody? Okay, they can hear us.
Okay, good.
What's up, baby?
All right. Okay, so we are logged into the Aesthetic Record iPad app right now. So a couple of things when we first get started, if we are a provider, we can check our patient in and sign them up for Aspire. So if you click the three little bars in the top left corner, go ahead and click calendar. And this will take you to an overview of your schedule for that particular day. So if I wanted to, I'm going to be Sarah Jones. All right, so a few things here. If I click on one of my appointments, you will notice that we have the join meeting button. So when we think about those virtual appointments, you can join meetings directly from your iPad. And then a couple of other little things. So when we get to the check-in process, if we click patient check-in, you will notice that you can become a member by clicking become a member. It'll just have you enter in some of the patient details, as you can see. And then once you get that done, you just hit register, and that will automatically connect their points to their aesthetic record profile so that you have visibility to see, how much they have on their account. And then
And don't forget that has to be the email they have on file. It needs to be their Aspire email. Just don't forget.
Yep. Don't forget that. So one other quick thing here, you will notice that you have two options. You can go straight to the profile. That is going to take you straight to a page where you can edit their demographic information. So obviously with this being a medical chart, you always want to make sure that all of the information listed, that you have date of birth, things like that, very important. So you can edit that straight from this screen here. And then if we click view timeline, this will actually take us to the screen where we could view all of their previous procedures. So, all right, so we're here. So a couple of additional items from this section. We're going to click into one of his photos. And actually, I'm going to do a new procedure so I can show you how to mark things as favorites.
And Victoria, just to kind of give you a quick high level, we have about 2 minutes and we're going to be cut off. So
we better hurry then.
Yeah.
So real quick, you'll notice your little icons. If you click, oh no, let me go back. There you go. If we click, you'll notice that it'll highlight. That's how you mark it as a favorite. So we're going to skip that. Any consents that need signed, you can click multiple consents on the screen. You'll notice they turn gray. That means you've selected. And then, oops, I don't want to sign. We're going to skip that. This last screen, you'll just go through and click. You do have to take a minimum of 3 photos. Just go through, click the photos, and then you can select take pictures, and you can choose your gallery, camera, or to use the template. So those are a few time-saving things that we've added into the app. And then one last thing, if we can get back there maybe. So at the checkout screen, you can see how many Aspire points are on a patient's profile. I don't know if I have. Tiffany, we might have to show this. Oh, here we go. Got to take payment. But I don't think he's enrolled in the Aspire program just yet. So if they were enrolled into the Aspire program, at the checkout screen, there's going to be a little bar on the top left that will say Aspire Rewards. So if they have 1,000 points, for example, then you can translate that, into the wallet and use it for part of their checkout process.
Now it'll show up on the wallet too. So if you're in their patient wallet from the app as a tender type, you'll see the same little.
Yeah, our poor guy right here, he's not in the program. I've got to remember one of my demo patients that is.
Yeah, as you go to do a true checkout, you'll see the same become a member that you see on the other one. So we hate to cut you guys off, but we have our webinar channel. We're about to be on another one in like 1 minute. So we've got to flip over quickly and get to the next one. But I'm going to just real quickly, if you guys don't know how to contact us, obviously you found us here. So go to our Instagram, go to our YouTube page. It's all on our YouTube page every single day. We put them all up there. So certainly go there and then send us a DM, tag us in your photos if you're doing fun stuff or procedures and things. We would love to reshare your content, do a feature on you, do a testimonial with your picture on it, etc. So if you want to tag us, we'd love to hear from you. And thank you for coming today, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.